Hi Floss Tube! My name's Dana. My channel name is Gemstone Stitches. I'm finally back after a few months. It's June, beginning of June 2025. It's been a very, very busy, exhausting 3 months since I last filmed. But I am here and it's my favorite thing, cross-stitching, thinking about cross-stitch, watching Floss Tube, and getting to share my stitching on Floss Tube. I'm like blending in with my, it's all purple around here. So yay. I'm focusing on projects that many of them won't get finished this year. They're huge, but I want to make progress on them. And then I have one project that I definitely want to finish this year. It made stitching more relaxing for me. Last year, I kind of had a every week or so rotation where, I planned out the whole year what I was going to work on each of those weeks, which was great and fun for a long while, but then it became a little stressful, or I wasn't getting to stitch as much on a project before it was time to switch to another project. And you know, stitching is really supposed to be fun, no stress, something you get to do in your free time. So that's why I kind of made the decision to pick things that I really want to make progress on and just focus and enjoy those. And if I want to pull something else out or start something, whatever I want to do, go for it. You might notice that I have a medal on. I did do the marathon. I'm about a week and 2 days out of completing that, so I'll talk a little more about that at the end of the video, but I thought I'll wear my medal and brag a little bit. But let's get into the stitching. When my energy levels and free time aligned, I did get to stitch. And it's always on my mind. I'm always wanting to stitch, no matter what. So, one of the projects that I am focusing on for the whole year, it started out as I want to do a strand a day, which I did well on for a while, but then I wasn't always getting a strand a day in. So then the next time I pick it up, I think, okay, I'm going to stitch 3 strands because it's been 3 days since I stitched it. Or that was getting a little stressful. And I thought, okay, wait a minute, let's circle back. Just stitch on this when you're traveling or when you have a minute. Just put some stitches in and always just keep it out and on the go, because it's one of those projects that's very easy to pick up and put down. Very block stitching and a lot of back stitch. So it's Victorian Dollhouse by Joan Elliott design. And I've been focusing on the center. I had this whole area finished at the beginning of the year, and so I've been doing this whole section. So here is where I'm at now. That whole section is complete, back stitching and all. I'll put in some photos of what it looked like before the back stitch went in. So this room, there's kind of a door into the hallway. And then down here is the front entryway. There's a woman standing there with her hat, the stairwell, and then a sitting room with a fireplace. So as you can see, it's a lot of just block stitching. You do have to pay attention. There are some color changes, but it was a really cool project in that you see that blue on the rug. Well, then I could do the blue up here if there's any blue, or come up here and do that blue. So I kind of started just picking the next color and trying to stitch it everywhere it was, and then go to the next color. And I'd look at the chart before karate class, maybe say I finished all the colors I had in the bag, and then I'd look at the chart and say, okay, let's pull these 3 colors, and those will be the 3 next colors that I focus on until I'm done. And then the back stitching is all just black. Very easy, but there's a lot of it. A lot of it. And then in the glass areas, I think in this mirror and in the clock, there's going to be some white strands that go across for it to look like a window or a mirror. I didn't do those yet. So that's really fun. I need to put it back in the Q-snap, and big thing I need to do is decide where I'm going to go next. Am I going to just keep going up, or should I go to the sides? Anybody have thoughts? Any part of it will be enjoyable. So we'll keep going on that. Next project, let's see. I did a little more on Celtic Winter. I'm doing the conversion to blues and silvers. And I also am doing the cloak rather than it just being her hair and dress. I'm doing the cloak that goes over her. Since I'm doing 5 of these, I thought, why not make it winter a little bit different? So here is where I got to. I finished the hood, and then I started, I think I made my way down a little bit in the dress. Very nice colors. I'm still not sure about that stripy hood. Doesn't really look like fabric flowing over her head to me, but I'm just gonna keep on going with it. And once I get the rest of the project in, maybe it, that won't be as big of a focus. It will just be one little part of it when the border is in and it says winter, and the medallions and the beads and sparkles in the front of her pretty dress is in. Maybe I won't notice the hood that much. But if I need to go back and revise a little bit, I can. This is all going to be beads and sparkly threads, I think, in her hair. And then I did work more on my Heaven and Earth design. Not much more, but a little bit. This is Peacock Days. Artwork Josephine Wall. And I finished the page. It's not going to look like much more was done, but there was a lot of stitches throughout here that weren't stitched yet. I think this bottom orangey color wasn't in yet. This is 2 rows of pages. This is the 3rd row. Moving my way along. So I definitely want to bring this out. and get started. I did feather down as to try to avoid page breaks. This is going to be very confetti, and then we're going to move on to her face, I think, soon. The beginning of the page is always a little bit harder just because you're doing a lot more counting. Because what I do is I pick, what I'll do is pick a color here and then color complete that down through the page and then pick the next color. So you're doing a lot of counting over. But once you get those first handful of colors in, you count off of those and it's a lot easier. So, let's see, maybe I'm not going to get to her face quite yet because I'm right here, like just the bottom of her neck I've gotten, and then I'm in this like bright colored flowers here. So it might be a little ways before I get to her face. Slowly but surely. And I worked on my stocking. This is the project that I want to finish this year. And I plan on working on this project most of July. I am going to basically do 3 weeks probably of July, Christmas and July stitching on this project, see how far I can get. And then I'm going to pull out Summer Quaker by Leela's Studio to stitch with Samantha the Huka Stitcher as part of July as well. So this is Sleigh Ride at Dusk. It's a Dimensions Gold stocking kit. I don't know exactly where I was last time. Here's where I am now. So this is the bottom of the stocking. It'll come around here and work its way up. I think I had some of this tree going, so I was able to complete all of that tree. Besides, there's some sparkly stitching in there, and I don't know if those are sequins or what. There's some like yellow X's, different kinds of techniques used in the tree to decorate it even more. And of course the snowman will need some back stitching to give him some face. And then anytime I was stitching down here and didn't need to use that color anymore, I did start stitching up here. There's going to be a couple snowmen in this area. So my plan is to keep working all this down here and then maybe do all the back stitching, maybe not. Once this is complete, I'll decide if I go back stitching or if I just stitch the banner up at the top. So that's looking really good. The moon is stitched, even though it looks like it's just the fabric, but that's all stitching. So here you can see, yeah, I think there's sequins and things in there, and these big bright ornaments have some like yellow X's over them. And then here's the two snowmen that are going to be there, some cardinals and the people in the sleigh with their Christmas tree, bringing their Christmas tree home. Very cute. So we'll see how far I can get on that if I have the whole month of July and I'm no longer training for a marathon. And then I also put in a good chunk of work on my chatelaine. This is the Herbularius Medieval Herb Garden Mandala. There's a small picture of it. I'm still very much in the center of this. Last time, I think I had all that. There's this lighter blue look right here. It's half a dark blue color stitching. So since it's a half stitch, it makes it look lighter. So I had all that done, and I had started doing the darker blue outline that went around this, kind of like outside those red flowers. That's where I was. And here I am. So this dark line is what I was talking about. This blue looks black. So I finished up that darker blue outline, and then there's this green color that goes all the way around. And then it also is right here, these leaves, and there's kind of like a green corner area. And then what I'm working on now is these blues. So it looks like one color of blue, but it's not. It's more than one color. So where am I? Let's see. It all looks pretty uniform. Maybe I'm on to the next color of blue and I haven't started it. But yeah, there's more variation of this blue to go in, because soon enough what's going to happen is there's just going to be these openings for the flowers, which are specialty stitches, and I'll just need to fill it in. I did do all the beads. Also, one day I went back through, if you see all these, they're light green beads all the way around. I was like, yeah, let's bead. Let's do those beads today. And there's more beads than I expected. I was like, oh my gosh, how many beads are there? I thought there was just going to be like 10 on each corner, but there's way more than that. These two on the very end are a light blue, and then the rest are a light green color. So that's an accomplishment. I'll show you, if you see here, it's such a small picture, but there's red flowers all throughout this section. So the blues are these NPI silks. And there's 5 of them. So it ranges from this dark to a medium and to the light. So they're just all throughout that section. So I'm making my way through those colors. And then this is a green water lily called Budding Leaf. It is very bright. It's almost a neon look. There's been times, I'll be honest, where I thought, is this okay? This seems so bright, almost glowing, but I'm going with it. So if you look really close, it's in all the way around here and in the corner. That's a mixture of light blue and the green. And it's variegated, so you can see it does have darker bits and then way brighter bits. So sorry, try to stay still here. That's what I started with in this center. Those leaves is what I started with, was that color green, and it's used in here, all throughout these leaves here, and again around here. I think that's the last place that it was used. So I just need to do some more of this blue, like I said, to keep creating these spaces for the flowers. And then, yay, I get to use this red Gloriana. I think, yeah, it's called Crimson. Crimson. And throw that in there. That'll be fun. This is such a pretty, vibrant blue purple that's in the project a little bit. I've used that already a little bit in there. Keep on going with that one. Definitely one that I want to bring out here and there throughout the year, just to keep making some progress, because there is still a lot to go. I still have all these borders to do, and then you can get into the archways and these big medallions before I even can start the huge outer border. So lots more years on that project. And then the last thing that I brought out in May is May's Emerald Fairy that I'm stitching for my daughter Tinsley, who's born in May. I started working on this, I think the marathon was May 25th, and I think I brought it out the next day and have been stitching a little bit here and there on her skin. So, and I'm so sad about this project because I won't talk about it until I first tell you what I did, and then I'll let you know my issue. So you might be able to notice it yourself. So I stitched first her shoulder here, and then I had part of her arm done, I believe, and then I've been working my way down. That's the bottom, that's her hand, and there's still going to be some more skin color, darker color coming up for the shadows. And then I had a little bit of this color left, so I stitched her arm. It's kind of coming up like this, so it's got this darker color for her shoulder, and then her arm comes up. So I was having some trouble with this arm counting, and so I didn't want to really mark up the pattern too bad, and I didn't have a working copy, so I decided to lightly shade in with pencil, and then I could go back and erase it if I just do it very lightly. And I didn't know that when I kept putting down the pattern and picking it up and putting it down, that I was getting a little bit of lead on my fingers. And you can see that I discolored a little bit up here and a little right here. That's pencil. So after I stitch this, I'm going to finish the skin all the way. Sorry, bumped you. I'm going to finish the skin all the way. And after I do that, I'm going to set it down, set it aside, and move on to something else. I'm going to give it a wash and see if that can come out. I don't know if you remember last time I was worried there was a mark somewhere in her chest. And some people gave me suggestions that maybe it's part of the needle, so that like broke off a little bit, and if I put a magnet against it, her skin here, it might pull any bits of metal out. I did that, and then I was looking really, really close in the front and the back, and I noticed there was just the littlest black fiber of, I don't know if it was thread or what it was from, kind of intertwined in there. And so I meticulously made my way through there and tried to pull it out, which I still need to go in and just like look with a magnifying glass or something to see if there's anything left. But yeah, it took that mark away. So that's what it was. It was a little black fiber. And now my next issue is this. I hope I can get it out. Again, if anyone has any suggestions about pencil coming out, worst comes to worst, I will just go ahead and rip that out and restitch it, because I am not going to leave that in there. But yeah, she's beautiful. Love her. Lots of beads and things in her hair. There's beads going to be all around her neckline. This is all, there's beads up in here and all throughout the bodice. So get through the skin a little bit more, and I think I'm going to get the wings going. I was thinking about starting this Krennic, this light, or this blue Krennic that's kind of behind her arms and in the wings, but I don't think I'm going to end up getting to that. The other problem I noticed is like I said, I was having a lot of trouble with this arm. So at some point I thought, I'm going to count over to the white that I've already completed and see where I'm at. And I'm doing the skin 2 strands over 1 thread, fabric thread, half cross. So each block where you would normally go 2 over 2, I'm doing 4 little half cross stitches for each, symbol. And I'm half a fabric thread off. So if you count over to here, let's say there's supposed to be 4 Krennic symbols right here. There's like 3.5 Krennic symbols. So I'm just going to have to, work my way around that and fudge it, because I don't want to pull this out unless I have to. So first step, see if I can get that pencil to come out. If not, I'll take it out. And then hopefully when I restitch it, I'll get it right. But maybe I won't have to take it out at all, and then I'll fudge it. So that's what I'm currently working on when I have time to stitch. I do have this project here in the background because I framed that a long time ago. We just have not gotten around to, it came with the hardware to put a wire behind it. So you actually have to screw in the hooks that the wire will go on in order to hang it up. So you can kind of see there's 3 little pegs on the wall over there. I had this hanging up by those, they're actually kind of like clothespins that you just push into the wall. I had it hanging up like that for a while before I put it in the frame. And so now that area of the wall is still just waiting for this project. This is a Long Dog Sampler Spirit of Veerland that I did a few years ago. Sorry for the glare. This is a dark purple color on a light purple. I think it's DMC 550 on lilac linen, lavender linen. still a project for me and my husband to do together at some point. It's hard to find time. Because we are back in the office full-time now. Last time I talked to you, we did get the return to work order, and my husband's a supervisor, so there was time enough for him to share an office with 4 other people. So he would go in the office 1 day a week and take a turn in the office and then work at home. Whereas I got to be in the office 50% of the time, so I would go into my cube, work for 5 days, and then work at home the next 5 days while someone else sat in that cube and worked. So that's how they were having us return to office until they figured out how to fit us all. And since then, they did have a big incentive program for people to try, like, have people retire early or take a buyout. And then the next step, if not enough people took those options, there was going to be a RIF. So that was kind of a scary time. Knock on wood, as of right now, I guess enough people took the incentive to where they were able to fit us all. Now we're back in the office full time, 5 days a week, and who knows about this RIF? It could still be around the corner, or maybe not. I don't know. It's been a crazy 2025. Let's just say that. As of right now, I'm just happy that I still have my job and I'm still doing the same work that I've been doing all along. So I'm happy about that. Grateful for that. It's been a transition because I work the 6 to 2:30 shift, a chosen shift. We're allowed to choose between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. to work. And so one of us does have to be home in order for the kids to get off the bus stop. So right now I've been doing the 6 to 2:30 so that I'll be there for the kids, and also to be a part of all the after school activities at the end of the year, particularly for my daughter's recital. Wanted to be able to know what was going on and be prepared for that and hear what the teacher had to say, because this is the first recital year and there's a lot of details that go along with that. So once the kids are out of school, which is June 13th, I think that's when my husband will take the early shift and I'm going to do 8:30 to 5. I can't start work until 8:30 because my daughter, youngest's daycare doesn't start till 8 a.m. So I can drop her off and then get to the office. So then I have to work that shift. But we can kind of just take turns and see what each other's feeling at the moment. Like, I really want the morning shift, or I really want the late shift, and just compromise and work that way. So that flexibility is nice that we can still do that. And this is this coming September is the last year of daycare, and I cannot wait. And then we won't have that late start anymore after that. But yeah, marathon. I trained it was an 18-week program, and I ran 3 runs a week. And the runner Stitcher, where are you? Are you out there? I remember watching his videos over when he started, and at the end he always says, if you're a runner, keep on running. And I've been dreaming of doing a marathon for years and years and years. I've tried to run a marathon and started the training a handful of times, and almost always I've gotten shin splints. And I finally realized it's just because I have a hard time beginning the running process and getting myself into shape and getting my muscles to know what I'm trying to do. Like, you really, really have to start like run, walk, run 30 seconds, walk a minute, run 30 seconds, walk a minute, and do that for 20 minutes for your first workout, and do that for a whole week. And then the next week, maybe do that same thing, but do it for 25 or 30 minutes. And then the next week, still do running, walking, but maybe extend the run time. You really, really have to gradually ease into it, which I never did. I would try it and then I'd say, oh, this is great. This is easy. I'm going to go. I'm just going to run. But then that shocked my, I guess my calf muscles or something, just couldn't take that. And I would always get shin splints and have to stop. There was one time I was doing really well with the training, and then I found out I was pregnant with my youngest, Tessa. So that year was not the marathon year either. And yeah, last summer, around this time, I was running, and I got myself up to running 6 miles 3 times a week, and it was feeling great. It was feeling a little overwhelming, but great. And then at some point I was just feeling really stressed. I'm not sure why, but that's just what happens to me. Sometimes I get more anxious than stressed, and I just have to regroup. And one of the things I did at that time was take running off the table, because it was putting a pressure on me. I realized it was putting pressure on me, because I thought, I gotta run, I want to run a marathon. And so I said, now's not the time. So I took a couple months off, and then I was feeling better, and I thought, you know what, I'll go ahead and run again. I saw one of Runner Stitcher's videos, and he just like said that thing, if you're a runner, keep on running. I'm like, oh, okay, I should try again. And I was really happy to see that I still felt pretty fit. I didn't really have to start back at square one. And yeah, I just carried that on. In October, on my birthday in October last year, I ran 10 miles. I hadn't gone out to run 10 miles. I just was feeling great, and I went for it, and I ran, and I was like, wow, okay, maybe this May 2025 is going to be my year. I found that program because I needed something where you weren't running, 5 days a week, because I just know I wouldn't be able to sustain that. So I found a 3-day-a-week program where you do cross training. I didn't do as much cross training as I should have, but you're supposed to do 3 days cross train, 3 days run. And I completed all those runs except for 6 because of the flu. Took me out for 1 week. One day I just listened to my body. I was too tired, mentally and physically. And then my hip was hurting towards the end. After my longest train run, my hip started hurting. And so I took a couple of runs off to rest my hip, which really messed with my head a little bit. But I persevered. I still went for it. And thankfully, it didn't turn into a full-on injury. And yeah, it was a beautiful day, beautiful run. It's called the Vermont City Marathon. You basically do a figure 8 loop. That's 13 miles. And then you do that same figure 8 loop again. So you start at the waterfront, which is right on Lake Champlain, downtown Burlington, Vermont. And you get to run along the lake. It's called the bike path. You run through downtown, and you run through a neighborhood on this side and a neighborhood on this side, which is people come out and cheer you on. It's really fun to see what people do, what kind of signs people have for you. There's even a band, like a rock band, who played I guess the full 6 to 7 hours of length of time that the marathon goes on. My family came for mile 16, I think it was, where I got to give them a hug and they got to cheer me on. And my husband, he came, the kids went back home after that, and then my husband came back to the finish line, and I didn't know he was going to do that. I remember I was running and I was just like, God, I'm almost there. There's the finish line. Just got to make it to the last bit. And I heard someone yell Dana, and out of the corner of my eye, I felt like I saw him maybe, but I was also just so tired and maybe out of it that I wasn't sure if that was real or not. But I finished it, and I, got my medal. I hobbled my way over and started drinking some water, and all of a sudden my husband was right there, and I was like, oh, you were at the end. So that was kind of fun. The longest training run is 20 miles. So that last 6 miles of the marathon, it's a 26.2 race. It's kind of like willpower. I mean, your muscles should be able to do it. It's all about your mind getting you through those last bits. And at mile 20, I felt great. Everyone talks about this wall. Don't hit the wall. And so I made sure to have a gel every 5 miles, to refuel. It has like a bunch of sugar and electrolytes, maybe stuff in it to give you that boost of energy you need. Some of them have caffeine in it too. So every 5 miles I had that, and then every 2-ish miles I took the water that they had out. And then at the end I started taking the Gatorade to give me the electrolytes. So I did okay with, leading up that week before, eating carbs and trying to eat really well, and then doing what I needed to do throughout the race to keep me going. So I was still feeling great at mile 20. And then it was about mile 23 that I started feeling really tired and thinking, wow, I still have 3 miles to go. Mile 24 was even worse. There was one point where it did feel a little like I felt a little woozy, and that scared me, but it only lasted about 5 seconds, and then I snapped out of it, and thankfully, I was able to keep going fine. And then, those last 2 miles were just pure, this is what I've trained for, this is what I've envisioned, this is what I've been wanting, and just let's keep going, one foot in front of the other. So yeah, I did it. I completed it. I was so sore. So sore. After I did my 20-mile run, I was sore that night and maybe part of the next day, but I was fine. I snapped back out of it pretty fast. But the marathon, the marathon was Sunday. It wasn't until Tuesday night that I started to feel a little relief. And yeah, I'm doing fine now. It's been a week and 2 days since the marathon. So I feel great. I got a couple gnarly blisters on my big toes. Those are healing up fine. So yeah, it's done. I have my bib here. The marathon they had 5,500 people sign up, but you can sign up to do the full marathon, or you can do a relay, be on a team. So the team can be a 2-member team where one does a half marathon and the other team member does the other half to complete the full 26. And then the other relay option is you can have a 4-member team. So you divide the whole marathon into 4 sections. So I think everybody runs a little over 6 miles on the team. So the people with the white and gold bib were full marathoners, and there was a yellow and gold, and then even a slightly different color for the other relay members. So that was kind of cool. to, as you're running, see who you're with, who's actually doing the full marathon. And then sometimes you'll be running and then someone kind of speeds past you and you're like, whoa, why did they have so much energy? And you see their bib that, oh, they're only doing the 6 mile section. So they're doing a lot better. They have a lot more energy to spend because they're only doing 6 miles of it, which is still a lot. It's really weird how you train for a marathon and now in my mind 6 miles is like nothing. Even running a half marathon, it's like, oh yeah, that's not too bad. I could go run a half marathon easy now. Whereas before, running 13 miles seemed like, whoa, would I ever be able to do that? Now it's total switch. But we'll see what my running future looks like. I'm not sure I'm gonna keep doing marathons just because it is such a huge, long time commitment. And it is really hard on your body. So I think I'm gonna stick to like, 10K, 6 mile type stuff. And maybe do a race here and there throughout the year. Possibly run a half marathon at some point again. I don't know. There's no pressure anymore because I did it. I did the marathon, and so the bucket list item is checked off. Okay, I think I talked enough about that. You can see back here, that shelving unit is where I keep my stitching. Right now, the camera, my phone, is on a stand that is sitting on one of the shelves that's missing. That second one up, that blank area, is another like canvas box shelf that you can slide in and out and store my projects in. So that's where I try to keep a lot of my stitching, and then I have sort of an armoire over here that has the rest of my crafting supplies, as I try to keep this stuff in my room away from my children so that, they don't get into anything that I don't want them to get into. All right, so what can I say? I'm going to keep stitching a little bit on May's Emerald Fairy, and then I need to decide, should I work on my Heaven and Earth design? I think so. Maybe my Heaven and Earth design and my Chatelaine for the rest of June. And then July's going to focus hard on my stocking. And then I'll bring out Summer Quaker for a little bit of fun. And maybe that's when I'll come back on and do another Floss Tube. I hope you guys are all enjoying all your stitching, and the weather is finally starting to turn and maybe stick here in Vermont. It's been very, very rainy. But yesterday and today are beautiful. So yeah, we're heading into those great summer months that we so enjoy here in Vermont, because it's a short window of time that you get that good weather here in Vermont. All right, well, take care, everybody, and happy stitching. Bye.